Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the third session of day 4 of ALYFE Connects, our exclusive virtual-only digital event brought to you by ALYFE Group. We've had another wonderful day of speakers and sessions, and with full respect to the other speakers, though, we are now moving into what is fast becoming my personal favorite session and schedule of the day, happy hour. Any excuse to enjoy a glass of vino. Tonight we are joined once again by Jean-Baptise Gourvil, who is brand ambassador for GH Mumm Champagne. He'll be talking us through the history and the heritage of this extremely famous drink and extremely famous label, telling us all about the intricacies and the inspiration behind this classic drink, and even giving us a few little tips on how to enjoy and best serve this classic bubbly. Now, without further ado, please help me say bienvenue to Jean-Baptise. Good evening.
Hello, Jacob. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, thank you, JB. Pretty good. Not much has changed since we last spoke. I'm still in the same place, but I've managed to top up my glass. So all is well on my end. How are you doing?
Everything okay. MCO going on. Enjoying a few drinks every day at the same time with you guys. So good.
Any excuse, right? Any excuse. And it occurred to me how being a brand ambassador even during lockdown must be, you're in a pretty fortunate position that at least your stock must be quite good to begin with.
Yeah, I anticipated a little bit when I saw the MCO coming. You know, I stocked up a little bit in the shelves so that I can enjoy with my flatmate.
But even now, I mean, they're expecting an announcement even maybe tonight, and it sounds as if, I don't want to jinx it, or maybe I shouldn't say anything, but it sounds as if we're going to have some more time at home, shall we say. But honestly, for me, it's not been too bad. I don't know about you. I know that your job as a brand ambassador revolves pretty heavily around bars, of course, and events, none of which have been taking place for the last few weeks. So what is it you've been doing in during this period in the last few weeks to sort of keep yourself occupied, but also from a business perspective? It's obviously a very challenging time for you. What are you guys doing over there to remain visible and to stay present in amongst a time such as this?
Yeah, so as you say, like bars been closed for a few weeks now, so I think it's the perfect timing to learn. So you know, the bartenders, they are very busy most of the time. Because they are really receptive. They are really into, okay, we have a bit of time at home. Now let's just like spend our knowledge. This is really where like I'm coming and I'm, hey guys, I'm here. I'm gonna tell you more about campaign. I'm gonna tell you more about that. And I've been really receptive. And about giving us people, of course, a bit of mask, asking, you know, things, stories. Why our friends are mentioning, but I think we are not the most relevant role during these times. I think the terror voice of our friends and then when the situation gets back to normal, we'll be here and we'll bounce stronger.
Okay, cool. JB, by the way, sorry, your connection is a little bit shaky. I'm not sure maybe that's my problem or whether the viewers at home might be struggling to hear you as well. Is everything okay at your side? I lost you a little bit just then.
Oh, okay. That's bad. On my side, everything seems to be fine. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, no, well, that's okay. That's much better. That's much better. You just came through much more clearly.
Okay, cool.
So I understand. So you've got the bartenders at home, and like you said, it's a great time to reach them and for them to learn your skills. So are you guys doing anything sort of directly to? Are you reaching them with like online masterclasses, or are you able to deliver training, over video call?
Yeah. What we do a lot is online video calls. And we can, share our knowledge with them, share our passion. And this is really like we achieve our objective.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think what's been, I mean, it's a huge shame what is happening right now to the industry. It's not a nice place for many people to be in. But on a positive note, and people looking at it optimistically, like you said, it is a great time to learn, to pick up new skills, and also people are realizing that a lot can be done through the beauty of video, of video calls. So I think in many ways this time will will change a great deal of things for a great many people and across a great deal of industries. You know, a lot of people will do things very differently even after the MCO is lifted. So what's your experience been so far with the online workshops? People just as, you know, are they receptive to it? Are they still, you know, learning as what you want them to learn?
Yeah. Of course, actually, you know, they get more time to sit back and listen to you, because that's something we appreciate. Then, of course, you know, we miss a little bit what we call in French convivialité. So convivialité is the word that I love. So convivialité means bringing people together, you know, having a good time together by, you know, sharing a glass of cognac, sharing a glass of champagne.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit what we're missing, being all together.
Sure, certainly. I think we're absolutely missing. You know, we are social animals at the end of the day.
Yeah.
A lot of us, of course, a lot of us have found that this time at home is a good time to reflect and recharge. But let's face it, we all miss our friends. You know, we all miss getting together and sharing good times and just being in good spirits. There's kind of a pun in there, I guess, when it comes to alcohol, but you see what I'm driving at. But yeah, so conviviality, yeah, literally the spirit of life, you know, like the sense of enjoyment that you get just from being with your friends and enjoying their company. And so, yeah, I know we're all very much looking forward to getting together when all this passes. But, you know, safety first, of course. Timing isn't great now with Ramadan around the corner. So I think, you know, it makes sense to be safe. If we are going to extend through next month, I think it has to be it's a sensible decision. But do you think then? I mean, because, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but there is some whispers, there is some discussion that even if the MCO is lifted, you know, for the rest of the year, there might be a complete banning, you know, on mass gatherings, which will continue to make events and so on very, very difficult. So do you think that what you've been doing recently with your virtual training, do you think that will continue to be like a core part of your strategy?
Yeah, of course. And then we need to see how we can bring it to the next level. And I think every time we've been adapting to the new restrictions, to the new norm, basically, because there will be a new norm, there will be a before and an after, and difficult to, you know, forecast what will be happening exactly. So what we've been doing so far at Martel and Mumm Champagne, we have been having a look at what's been happening in China. You know, they are maybe a step ahead compared to us. And the mistake they made was to open fast. If you had a look at what they did with the cinemas quite early, very fast, you know, they had to reclose them. So we prefer to keep everybody safe. The open top bars for 2 more weeks, maybe 1 month, but then everybody safe to come back here, have a drink.
Yeah, for sure. I think it has to be. It's a shame, of course, but yeah, you've got to put safety first. So tell us a little bit about what the team are doing in China. Are they delivering training online as well? Are they finding it? They're having some success with that?
Yeah. This is what they are doing, and of course supporting the outlets. You know, this is a part of our job. Also, a lot of our partners are going through a tough time. So we do what we can to help them. And as soon as they reopen, we are here to really push them and bound even stronger than what they could do without us. So this is really part of our job also, to help our.
Yeah. Understood. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting, I mean, we're living through history right now, I suppose you could say. Yep. This is everyone's favorite word right now is unprecedented, but truly it is. These are unprecedented times that we are living in. And it'll be, I mean, this is what we're trying to do as well at ALYFE Group. You know, this is the reason we were so keen to kick off this virtual event. And because what we want to do is, you know, make use of the time that we have at home now. And this is why we're lining up, hopefully an interesting, I mean, I've loved all of our guests so far, and I hope our audience have as well. But we're really trying to line up like a range of speakers from across industries and use this time to sort of educate and inform and entertain people while they're at home, and hopefully bring some value and bring some insights and information. So In some ways, our jobs are quite similar in that respect, JB. I think yours might involve a little bit more alcohol than mine, but you know, I'm trying to keep up.
There you are. No, but you're right, and you should consume actually not too much, with caution. Don't
Of
overdo.
course, yeah. Just you keep it to an appropriate professional amount, of course.
Yeah. Moderation is the word I'm looking for, actually. Moderation.
I suppose if you want to be sensible about it, but okay.
Yeah.
You've got to say that, of course. You legally, I suppose, you're under contract. You have to say that. I'm under no obligation.
You know, when we communicate about alcohol, everywhere in the world, we need to have this mention at the bottom saying, please consume responsibly, please enjoy our quality responsibly. No, we don't want people to drink too much. That's not in our interest.
No, of course not. And in fact, people really stop enjoying what they're drinking when they do drink too much. The art is in appreciation. And in fact, I think that's a lot of what you have to tell us about tonight. I think the art of, and especially with such a fine drink, if not the finest, the drink of kings, a drink such as champagne. I think so you're going to be talking us through a little bit about the history, the heritage, and the artistry, almost, I think, that goes into a bottle of bubbly. And I have a few questions for you too, actually, because I'd be very interested to learn a little bit about your journey and your role as a champagne ambassador. Like we touched on the other night, I think getting paid to travel and drink fine champagne, again, sounds too good to be true. I'm still convinced there's a catch, but I still haven't worked it out yet. So I would love to hear a bit about your journey from the beginning, from the first glass of champagne you ever tasted that took you into the role you are today, and then indeed brought you out to Malaysia. I imagine working in a market such as this is very different from working on the European circuit. So yeah, please talk us through that. And I understand you have a bit of info and a bit of background to share with us too about the champagne itself. And of course, for the audience, for everyone watching, please do get your questions in. Comment below on the Facebook video, and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. And JB will be happy, I'm sure, to answer any of your questions.
Yeah, sure. No, so as you were saying, my first glass of champagne, that happened legally, I have to say, after 18 years old. Because, France, legally, yeah. Because, in France, we consume it during dinners, casual occasions, I would say, but mostly during wedding, birthday parties. Because, let's face it, let's be honest, champagne has always been a drink of celebration. And this is what it is today too. But what I want to emphasize on is you don't have to drink champagne only when you are celebrating something. You can have a drink on the occasion. It's a normal wine. You need to know that champagne is a wine from France, from the Champagne region, and you can enjoy it as a normal wine.
True. I mean, the French drink champagne for breakfast, practically, from what I understand. So I'm sure legally you have to say 18, but well, okay, we'll leave it there. I won't push you on that.
I remain silent.
Yeah, you're right. Typically, of course, it is associated with celebration, and rightly so, because of the prestige and the quality of the drink itself. You can really because compared to, say, other sparkling drinks like Cava or Prosecco or what have you, you can really pick up on the quality that goes into a good bottle of champagne. And I know that has a lot to do, of course, with literally where it comes from. Because as I understand, like with cognac, you can only call it champagne if it comes from the Champagne region, right?
Exactly. No, you're completely right. So if you want to make champagne, you need to make it in the Champagne region. So just to tell you to the location is 1 hour east from Paris. It's very easy to access champagne when you're in Paris. So this is something you can do, on the day when you are visiting Paris. Go visit the cellars. That's a wonderful experience. Then, as you were saying, champagne is sparkling wine. Champagne is Prosecco. What's the difference? Yes, there is origin. Where does it come from? But it's also the different process. So what you need to know is, sparkling wine was invented in Spain almost 100 years ago. So this is, we have a bit more heritage than what they do, and they're catching up, to be honest, and they're doing a good job.
Interesting. So, okay, so sparkling wine itself, it started out as, I mean, champagne is still sparkling wine, but a special kind. But sparkling wine was invented in Champagne, and then it was copied, I suppose, the world over. But now the seal of quality and approval for premium sparkling wine is that it comes from the Champagne region, right?
Exactly. Then, if you want to have a sparkling wine, you have different ways to do it. What we do in Champagne to get our bubbles, because what we do in the process, we produce still wine, and then we make it sparkling by putting the wine in the bottle and adding to double fermentation. We close the bottle and wait for a few weeks, and it will create the pressure and the carbonation in the bottle. So Cava, this is what they are doing. They are doing it the noble way. They are doing it the right way. Some of the wine, what they do is they do it like Coca-Cola is doing, like sparkling. They just add some CO2 and there you go, and sparkling. We don't want to do that. We want to ensure quality and the tradition in champagne.
Sure. So is that why, typically speaking, or generally speaking, like champagne is that much more expensive than any sparkling wine, really?
There are a lot of reasons, Jacob. Really, there are a lot of reasons. If I had to tell you the few ones, I would say that the first one is quality. When you see written champagne on the bottle, that means this is quality. Because to be called champagne, you have to go through a certain process, which is the quality of the bottle. Second point is the prestige, and the offer and the demand. In champagne, we can only produce a certain amount bottle every year. We need to grow our grade with the region of champagne. We cannot do it, and the demand is worldwide. So since the demand is booming and the offer can only remain, the price are following and are paying quality.
Okay, and within the region of Champagne, sorry, how many? I guess I'm sure there are many houses, vineyards, and boutique producers too. But who are the major players in the Champagne region? And so, GH Mumm is part of the Pernod Ricard family.
Yeah,
am I right?
Yeah.
So who are the major players in that part of the world?
So basically, if we have to say like the biggest players, I would say that we have our main competitor from LVMH with Tennessee, that are Moet, very famous here in Malaysia, Dom Perignon also, Veuve Clicquot. These are big houses. Then we can add, of course, Krug and the two champagne brands that I'm representing, two champagne houses that are Mumm, is number one in terms of age, and more of a boutique maison, very city. It's a very distinct style that is well appreciated, and recently it was awarded as the most trendy brand in the world.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's it. What overall? I mean, the most trusted brand overall.
Yeah. In Champagne, in the Champagne environment.
Still, I mean, there's a pretty hot competition to that you find yourselves amongst, but to come out on top is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, true. But in Malaysia, we don't see it that much because our production is very, very limited, and we see it more on more mature market. I would say like UK, as they have found this kind of champagne. But when I meet champagne lovers in Malaysia, they always say, "Oh yeah, Perrier-Jouët, I love it." Every champagne lover, Perrier-Jouët, and it's a style which is very floral, very delicate, and it's a very polarizing style. Or you love it, and you are fond of it, or you.
Interesting. JB, sorry, we're losing you on the audio just ever so slightly again. Like I think you're breaking up slightly. Do you want to try just logging out and logging back in again so we can see if it fixes something? Because you're breaking up a little bit, and I worry that people are missing what you're saying.
Okay.
Especially when Yeah, especially when you're raving about your product. I don't want them to miss anything.
Let's do that.
So, okay, cool. I'll see you in 30 seconds. All right, guys, sorry about that. A couple of technical difficulties over there. But while we are waiting for JB to come back in, please do get your questions ready if you have any for him. He is the ambassador for 2 of the finest champagne houses in the world, and with a drink with as much prestige and heritage and provenance as it does, there is a lot to understand, a lot to uncover, a lot to unpack, and a lot to be enjoyed about this drink. So please, if you have any questions about champagne, how to drink it, how it should be served, how long a bottle can be stored, for example, anything at all that you're curious to know about, this guy is the guy to ask, or I'm the guy to ask him for you. So please get your comments in down below. Let us know if you have any questions for him, or even about his life as a brand ambassador. Of course, coming from Europe to Malaysia must be a very interesting journey, regardless. But coming that way to represent champagne must be a fascinating one. So please, if you have any questions for him, do put them below. So JB is back. Hopefully we can hear him a bit better now. And let's bring him back in and have a chat. Okay.
So how is the connection? Okay, so I'm in Bangsar South. So I don't know if it's because of the rain or anything, but that's a bit weird.
I hope it's okay. I'm in Bangsar Village-ish. I'm in Bangsar North, I guess you could say, and I'm okay here. But the clouds do look pretty bad. So apologies to the viewers at home. If any of you are in Bangsar, you'll know what we're talking about. Like the weather's been actually pretty terrible the past few days, right? There's really bad storms.
I think this is still the rainy season, so that would be why. But
okay, look, we have the seal of approval from Jason Tan, our contest winner from the night, if you remember. Thank you, Jason. So that's good to know. So we can hear you much more clearly now, JB. So where were we? So we were talking about, of course, the brands that you represent, and one of them being a boutique. And you mentioned that we don't get as much we don't get as much of it over here in Malaysia because you just cannot produce that kind of quantity to bring out. So what I wanted to know, actually, what then do Malaysians most enjoy when it comes to champagne? What have you seen in your role here as a brand ambassador as far as, you know, market perception, I suppose, to a drink like this? Because when we talked about cognac, we talked a lot about the yam seng culture, which champagne kind of plays into as well, because it's a very celebratory drink, but you don't quite, you know, neck champagne like you do with a drink like cognac. So tell me a little bit about like the role that champagne plays in culture out here.
No, that's right. You are completely right. Yeah, it's not a good idea to yam seng champagne. You know, it's a bit too acidic, too bubbly. So that's not a recommendation I would give. So just a little personal story. You know, when I arrived in Malaysia, and it still happens today. I was saying, yeah, I'm brand ambassador for a champagne house that's called Mumm. And people look at me and like, huh? You mean Moet? I'm like, no. I mean Mumm. And for me, it was a big surprise because, you know, in France, Mumm is #1 in terms of sales. So everybody knows Mumm. And actually in Malaysia, this is the opposite. Our brand awareness is very, very small. We are growing it. And we are making discover our champagne, the champagne culture to Malaysia. Because when I arrived like 2 years ago, it was still like, you know, champagne would order it in the club. Now we are to really enjoy our product and make them quality
Huh, interesting. And there's one point there actually, which, and you mentioned the name once before, which I picked up on, and this is something which I only found out. I mean, I might be completely ignorant here, but this is something I only found out recently, is that Moet is pronounced Moet. It's not Moet, as the rest of the world thinks it is. So I hesitate to highlight a competitor of yours, but I think it's an interesting trivia point for most of our friends to know, is that Moet is not pronounced Moet, it's Moet. In fact, I believe because the...
You're right. And I want to insist on the point. You see, this is the brand that we are unveiling to Malaysian. That is written M-U-M-M. We don't pronounce it Mumm or Mam. We pronounce it Mumm. So now you know the pronunciation of Moet.
Mumm.
You know the pronunciation of Mumm also.
Mumm. Okay, well there you go. So it's not mum. It's not mum. It's Mumm. GH Mumm. Very European. Very European.
So this is
So
actually.
that was, I mean, I believe.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I believe. I mean, that bottle looks familiar. I believe you unveiled that last year. You guys had a series of really fancy looking parties, I believe, in KL, right? That must have been fun to be a part of. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, exactly. So we released about 6 months ago a brand new bottle here in Malaysia. Really wonderful bottle. I'm sorry, it's not this one. This one is one from my personal collection that's not available in Malaysia. And I finished the other one, the new bottle last week. So I'm not able to show you. But yeah, once the MCO is lifted, guys, like, please go ahead, order it. You will see it's wonderful because we have this red sash here that's basically engraved in the bottle. You know, when we take our bottle, you have some pretty relief that in the bottle. So that's really breaking news in the champagne industry.
There you have it, guys. Hot off the press.
Yeah, it's called when you go to the club. It's called GH Mumm Grand Cordon. So you will see, and the liquid remains the same compared to our previous bottle. So we remain on the, you know, this fruity side, a little bit of pear, a little bit of lemon aromas. So very easy to sip, very easy to enjoy. You know, not too bubbly, doesn't create any foam in your mouth. So very round, very pleasant to drink. You know, not acidic, which can be the problem of some of the champagnes available on Malaysian market.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people, everyone loves a glass of champagne, but sometimes it's just the one, you know, the bottle comes out and everyone gets one glass just to mark the toast or whatever. But actually what you're saying is your latest edition can be drunk, you know, over and over again. It can be enjoyed in a more smooth way.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, here, what was really surprising Malaysians recently, and we started a series of pairing dinner. So, you know, we have different champagnes that we will pair with different dishes. Malaysians were like, oh, but I thought champagne was like, you know, as a welcome drink, and that then we cannot pair it with food. But it's completely wrong, because actually champagne will pair really well with seafood or with poultry, you know, with white meat. That's a really good pairing we enjoy. And that, I think, is the discovery recently for Malaysians. And I'm really happy to bring that to them so that they
Sure.
you know, dissociate a little bit champagne and a party drink.
No, yeah. So the gastronomy angle plays a huge role, I think, in educating people about how best to enjoy it. So, I mean, how should the perfect glass of champagne be served? You know, what is the optimal way? What is the optimal way to enjoy like the perfect glass of bubbly?
So the perfect glass. So let's talk about the glass itself first. You know, we see a lot of people drinking it in coupe. So, you know, coupe is very round, very open. That's not the ideal way to drink it because, you know, firstly, it's typical, you know, usually you are next to somebody and so you come to somebody and it spills over. So it's not a pleasant experience. And in terms of aromas, that is not ideal because what you want is a wine glass, your champagne. Sure. Because, you know, wine glass are more narrow at the end. And this is where all the aromas of your liquid will concentrate. So when you nose it, this is really the ideal experience you want to enjoy and not the big coupe.
That's that's like kind of a bit of inside information. The best vessel for a glass of champagne is not a flute, but a wine glass with a wine glass. Interesting.
This wine glass would be quite fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wish I had some Mumm to put in here, but you know, unfortunately, it's just boring wine.
Next time,
maybe we can open a bottle when the lockdown is over, JB. Maybe we can open a bottle. So the reason a glass like this, and I'm going to, I don't know why I'm demonstrating, but I've got one here. So a glass like this is better for champagne because of the wider openings, so that when you go to nose it, the aromas are doing much more work, and you're able to really appreciate what is going on down there. You're really able to smell the bubbles, as it were.
Exactly. The aromas are really going to concentrate on the top of your glass, and this is really what you want. You can catch them all. Like, for example, I have a small glasses, a small cognac glass. If I pour some champagne in there, and to say to you, if I pour some champagne in there, the aromas would directly go away. I want to narrow them to my nose.
Interesting.
The wine glass are ideal, and you would see that all the quality champagne houses are moving towards this, moving out of the traditional coupe or traditional flute of champagne to really bring the quality of our champagne, bring it out.
Is there a reason, do you know, why the flute is the vessel of choice, or has been the vessel of choice? Why that shape? Why? Because it's usually you can't have one. Usually if you are served champagne, you expect it to be in a flute. It's seen as like the standard. It's seen as the only glass you can serve champagne in. But you're saying it's not the best one. Now, in my eyes, I mean, the when it comes to fine liquor, wine, champagne, alcohol, whatever, there is the amount of science and work and energy and effort that goes into all of these drinks. It seems strange to me, is what I'm saying. It seems strange to me that it's taken people this long to realize that actually we should be serving champagne in a wine glass. Do you know what I mean? I'm curious.
No, that's true. That's true. But the habits of people are a bit hard to beat.
True. No one
when you are pushing the consumption of champagne, you really need to educate people and to take time to explain them why you shift from your traditional way of drinking to what we are going to do next. And this is what I'm trying to do right now, just by explaining you guys, we need to concentrate the aromas at the entrance of your glass, and this is what you want to experience. And now you know it, and you will, most probably next time you will be served champagne in a flute, we'll say, yeah, it's good, it's a traditional way, but let's try to put it in a wine glass. And you can.
I'm gonna be that guy who sends it back and says, I've been told, I know better. I want it in a wine glass, and the guy's gonna look at me like I've lost my mind, and I will insist.
Yeah, and that's my job, to teach people in the hotels and in the bars how to serve champagne. And actually, Jacob, do you know how you should be served a glass of champagne at a restaurant? What is the process? Because there is a process.
I mean, from the whole thing, not really. I know. Whenever you do order a glass of champagne, the waiter, of course, likes to make a flourish. He likes to make a show, and he'll come and he'll drape the napkin over his arm and everything. But I've never really considered what the proper process should be. No.
So there is a proper process that they really need to apply. And this is what I'm explaining to them every time I'm doing a champagne mentoring in a 5-star hotel or in a fancy restaurant. So first of all, when the client orders a bottle of champagne, you bring it to him. You bring it and you show it. You confirm.
Yeah.
You confirm with him, yes, this is the bottle that I ordered. Then he will, open the bottle. And the next step, and this is what they forget very often, they need to make you taste champagne, so that we see if the bottle does not have a default. Because sometimes, with the transportation, with the storage, your champagne can spoil. That can happen with any wine, actually. So you need to have a little sip to say, yes, this bottle of champagne is correct, or no, this champagne is spoiled, and I want you to bring me a proper one.
So, sorry, let me just jump in, with a quick question. So people talk, when it comes to wine, you talk about wine being corked, right? And you can tell that the cork just ruined the taste completely. Is it the same with champagne, or is it like a different kind of spoilage that you're referring to?
You can have different defaults in the bottle. Yes, cork can be one of them. Lack of pressure, lack of bubble. It can be many things, and it does happen. I think there was a study that says that 2% of the bottle of champagne have a default. So this is a really important step when you are serving champagne, to make your guest taste it, because you want to be sure you are not serving a spoiled champagne. And a lot of waiters forget that. So you need to remind them that you want to have a drink.
So the taste, even the tasting itself, I mean, what kind of temperature are we talking here?
Champagne, it depends on champagne. You need to be chilled. It really depends on the champagne. So for example, if I take Perrier-Jouët Belle Époque, this champagne, I would serve it maybe at a slightly higher temperature, around 12 degrees Celsius. Even 13 degrees Celsius, I would go. Whereas some other champagne like Mumm Grand Cordon, as I was talking earlier about, I would serve it maybe around between 11 and 12 degrees Celsius. Because the more chilled your champagne is, the less powerful the aromas will be. So it depends on the aromas of your champagne. Very expressive.
They're still very expressive, but they're still very fine margins. I mean, we're still talking a couple of degrees here and there, right? So there's fine tuning and fine details involved in this fine beverage.
Yeah. That's true. But the experience of champagne, we are talking about luxury, and luxury is all about detail. The temperature, glass, way of serving are details that make the whole experience. And I really insist on that. It's not just like, hey guys, I'm giving your bottle here, your glasses, there you go, enjoy your champagne. No, you really need to try the serving.
Okay, so we're at stage 2 now. So we've seen the bottle, we've tasted it. It's not spoiled. What happens now?
So as a consumer, you approve. You say yes to the waiter, and the waiter is going to pour a glass of champagne to the ladies first. Always the ladies first.
Interesting. Guys, for the guys listening, if you're ever hosting a dinner party, this one simple rule could save the evening, okay? And if you want to do it the real, true, classic dinner party way, French style, cosmopolitan style, you serve the ladies first. I mean, you should be serving the ladies first anyway. It's what any true gentleman does, but you have to do it with champagne. So bear that in mind.
Yep. So then the ladies are served, so then you can serve the men at the table, and then you can cheer. Never forget to cheer when you are drinking champagne. Do not drink champagne alone. Like, it's a general rule, I would say. Don't avoid to drink alone. It's always better to drink with some friends.
Very true.
Back to that word, conviviality, being all together and sharing good moments, good drinks, good food.
And I think champagne sums up that expression and that sentiment more than anything else. You're right. I mean, you're right. We should never drink alone. But I'll admit there are some drinks which go down better alone than others. Like maybe a cheeky beer or even a whiskey at the end of a tough day. But to pop a bottle of champagne by yourself is quite a depressing thought, really. So definitely save it for the right occasion.
Yeah, I've never done it. I've never opened a bottle of champagne for myself so far.
No.
Even during the MCO, I have my flatmate with me to enjoy, and this is great. This is great.
And so, but you mentioned it can spoil, just like wine and so on. But wine people typically tend to understand that the longer it's stored, the better. How long typically can you store champagne for? Does it work? I mean, are there 100, 200-year-old bottles of vintage, or does it not really? I mean, because it's so carbonated, of course, does it not really work the same way with champagne? How long does a good bottle of champagne last?
No, no, you're right. You can age champagne as a wine because champagne is a wine actually. If I take a non-vintage bottle of champagne, like this one, this bottle of Mumm, you can easily store it for 3-4 years without any issue. Then if we are talking about vintage champagnes can age much longer. So for example, if I'm talking about my favorite champagne, Perrier-Jouët Belle Époque 2008.
So 12 years.
12 years already aging. So this is, has an amazing aging potential. I'm sure if you open a bottle of champagne of Belle Époque 2008, 2005, it will still be very good. It's aging, and the wine is evolving with the years.
So then, what is the major difference between a vintage and a non-vintage champagne? Is it in the process itself, or is it just in the aging? Is it just in the age of the bottle?
Every year in Champagne, the weather conditions will be different, and some years the conditions are better than other years. And when the years are considered excellent, our cellar master will say, okay, this year we are going to make vintage champagne. So he will use grape wines that were harvested only that year. Whereas a non-vintage can use grapes from several years.
I see. Interesting. So it's about the specific harvest at a specific time,
Yep.
which then become that vintage, that bottle of vintage. Yeah. Interesting.
Exactly. And like vintage champagne tend to be a bit higher in price because usually, they're aged a little bit longer and they're more premium. And if you have to like taste a vintage champagne, if you have a chance to find this bottle of Perrier Jouet Belle Époque 2008, I really recommend it. It's like a wonderful experience. Really like amazing, best champagne experience I've had so far.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating. You know what we've not touched upon yet, actually, and what I'm quite curious to learn about is more about the Mumm brand itself, because I mean, some of our viewers may recognize Mumm as previously the sponsor of Formula One. So up there on the podium, back a few years back, I believe, at least, getting sprayed around. That that's where some of our viewers might recognize the brand from. Even last year, you guys, when you guys revealed the Con Rouge, was it? You guys had this party at the W Hotel, like very fancy, very swanky, very funky. So as a brand, and what the brand represents, I mean, you've just been, Mumm, as you said, has been voted this year the most trusted brand in the world.
That was Perrier Jouet. So the word Perrier Jouet. However, and you said it, we are working here in Malaysia with brand awareness. So how do you work with brand awareness? Yes, by sponsoring the Formula One at one point, by having some parties at W. Yes, that's other points. But I think what's the most important is to educate the people, make them taste. And it's a bit challenging now because, we are all at home and I cannot send one bottle to each and every person. So I'm really looking forward to be out of the home at the end of the MCO.
That would be nice.
Taste product to everyone in Malaysia.
So what is it? I mean, but what is it you most want them? I mean, of course, the tastes and the quality and the premium. But if you had to, I mean, right now, say that on the stage that you have, what is it that how is it that you would really represent and sell the brand? For Mumm, like what is it? What is the brand identity that makes this so special compared to other houses? Because sponsoring Formula One, for example, like it's a genius move. But Formula One is associated with a very lavish party lifestyle. It's not subtle, which I love, but that was a very deliberate decision, I'm sure. And you wouldn't have the brand would not have made such a decision without really considering if it was aligned with the values and the principles of the brand, right? So what are those values? Like, what is it that stands Mumm apart from the rest?
So yeah, so what you are referring to about sponsoring the F1 and everything is, at a point, we wanted to be the Red Bull of the champagne. So we wanted to be like Red Bull, like basically fueling the celebration of sports successes. So this is what we were a few years ago. Now we changed a little bit. Now we are more into celebrating every little success. So, every day or every 2 weeks, every 1 month, you make progress in your life. You learn this, you achieve that. And this is where we want to be with our champagne. Basically going with people during their celebration.
Interesting. Okay, well, that's good because it's important to celebrate, every little victory, small as it may be. It's important to keep moving positively, to see the good, to give yourself a pat, to reward yourself, not with excessive alcohol, of course, but to acknowledge and appreciate even the small victories in life. That's a pretty good sentiment. Okay, I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I see your glass is going down. You are a good drinker, I see.
I don't know. I think measured. I think I paced myself quite nicely. It is only it's still before 7 p.m. after all, but I suppose happy hour has truly begun.
Happy hour, yeah, it's happy hour now.
And happy hour indeed it is. Okay, so we have a question here from Howard, by the way, JB, which I'll put up. We kind of just touched on it, but I think maybe the connection might have been a bit lost. So Howard's talking about the vintage again. So why does some champagne show the vintage while some does not?
Yeah, so some of the years in Champagne, will have very good climate conditions, very good weather, so they will help our vines, our grapes, to grow in the optimal conditions. And these years are considered exceptional. So the cellar masters are going to recognize these years by saying, okay, I'm going to make a vintage champagne by using only grapes that were harvested here. For example, at Perrier-Jouët, we have Perrier-Jouët Belle Époque 2000, which uses only grapes.
Belle Époque, my schoolboy French, Belle Époque tells me it means basically great time, like fantastic era, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly. Good times. That's what it means.
Good times. So Howard, thank you for the question. I hope that answers it. So basically, a vintage basically means like if a particular year is excellent in conditions, like the cellar master, the growers are gonna put that aside and say this is gonna be a damn good bottle. So there you have it. Any other questions, guys? Please do put them on the Facebook group, comment below the video, and we'll show them here on screen. I'm curious to know, JB, in fact, so I mean, we talked about what you guys are planning on doing on a practical level, I guess, post MCO when it comes to trainings and workshops and things like that. But looking slightly longer term, maybe, and I know that your goal is to get everyone in Malaysia to taste your champagne, to have a good old taste of Mumm. But how do you see consumer behaviors changing? What do you think you have to address to get those behaviors changing? What is your challenge? What is your mission in the long term?
I think the main challenge is the way consumers here in Asia, because unfortunately, if you go to a Malaysian bar and want to drink champagne, you have to order the bottle. Whereas in France or in the UK, you can order a glass. But I think really stopping people from drinking. You have to order the whole bottle, so you have to drink a lot. Pricey. So first thing first, let's do champagne by the glass.
True. And is that? I mean, I guess we're getting into a bit of retail detail here, but is there like a reason? Is it just because of the price sensitivity? Like restaurants just won't offer it by the glass? It doesn't make sense for them?
What they're afraid of is basically wastage. They're afraid that one day a consumer comes, orders maybe 2 glasses, and then the bottle remains full, and well, after a few days, it spoils. So this is what they are really afraid of. And I understand them. But this we really need to address by maybe pushing champagne by the glass. And when people will understand, consumers will understand that you can order by the glass, they will do it much more. And then you won't have any wastage.
And you won't have the issue. Yeah, you solve you solve the problem by introducing the problem somehow. That doesn't make any sense. But I think you see what I'm getting at. You just have to face the problem head on, and then you've already solved it.
You need to make the first step. To make the first step and make people aware that you are making this first step and that they don't have to order it by the bottle anymore. But this first step is very difficult to make for bar owners because, let's say, champagne has a price. They're afraid to have wastage and lose investment. I understand it and I respect it, and we are working in this direction of solving that.
You can see why, but I think what you just mentioned about your brand approach, your brand strategy, your brand messaging is celebrating the small victories. Well, quite literally, being able to order a glass of champagne is that small victory. Don't leave it until you have to order a bottle for a wedding or whatever. Like just maybe you've done well in some exams, have a glass. So I think what what we need to do to address the problem, or what you're looking to do to address the problem, fits nicely into your brand strategy. So hopefully there's a way you can,
definitely. And also where we are consuming champagne currently, the biggest consumption of champagne is in the high energy clubs, like the nightclubs, basically. What we are trying to do is also to convince the lower energy bars, where you have it basically more peaceful setting, more relaxed atmosphere, low volume music, serve more champagne, because as you were saying, you don't have to celebrate every big event. You can celebrate smaller events, and you don't always go to the club to celebrate the event. If you just I don't know, good sale on a day, like go to the bars, order just a glass of champagne. You don't have to order the whole bottle or even 20 bottle in a big club with a big night out with your friends. Just go to a lower energy bar, order one glass. That's what we tend to do.
Fascinating. And I think also, and this is another point you touched on earlier, which I think has a lot of potential, and there's a lot to go at with it, because Malaysians, of course, love our food. We love our food out here. It's a small one because Malaysian cuisine is up there with the best in the world. And I think the opportunity to educate people on pairing champagne with food. You mentioned white meats and seafood. I mean, we love seafood over here. So I think getting your foot in the door of that industry could be a very interesting one for you too. I mean, do you guys have any plans to put on kind of pairing events? Or, I mean, I know events is almost a dirty word right now, but do you have any plans right now in the pipeline for these kind of dinners and so on?
Yeah. Well, we have postponed everything for now. But if you have a look at what we were doing pre-MCO, we had a collaboration with Babe, that fine dining restaurant. We've done like quite a few pairing dinners in 5-star hotels. So yeah, and we are going to continue in that line, to continue doing these kind of things. And the response so far of Malaysians is quite good. The response is really like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's something unusual. Let's go, let's try it. Then make your own opinion. You like it, you don't like it, but at least you have discovered something. And I think this is the meaning of life, basically. Experience, enjoy, discover.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, we are an ALYFE group ourselves, working in lifestyle marketing, as we call it, as we do. The shift that we've seen in the industry is very much towards the experiential, to the immersive nature of trying and appreciating new things. And so I think there's a lot of very cool things to explore and to go at. We have another question here from Mr. Andy Lim. He's wondering if you're going to show us how to saber champagne.
No, Andy, that's a very good question. Actually, I don't know if some of you have seen it already. Sometimes we can open a bottle of champagne with the big sword or just with a phone. So I would take the bottle of champagne like this and just pop it. I'm keeping this bottle. At the end of the MCO.
yeah. Unfortunately, during these trying times and whatnot, I think best to preserve your stock. I don't think we have the luxury of sabering a whole bottle right now. But for those of you watching who don't know what sabering is, as JB just demonstrated and pointed out, you can actually. I did not know you could do it with the phone. That's fascinating. I don't want to try risking doing it myself. I don't know what I'll break first, the bottle or my phone. But you can open a bottle of champagne by slicing it forward with a knife in a certain way. So for those watching at home who don't know what sabering a champagne bottle is, go and check out a couple of videos on YouTube, and maybe it'll be a party trick of yours.
Definitely a party trick, but just a reminder that when we do it, we actually cut the glass. So you basically cut the neck of the bottle here. So this part of the champagne bottle will be very sharp. So my recommendation is, if you really want to do it at home, fine, go ahead. But please wear some gloves, wear some goggles, and do it properly.
Ooh.
Don't just, because the bottle might explode. Yeah. You might waste your bottle of champagne. So be careful. Be really careful.
Yeah, I've seen some horrifying videos actually. So yeah, knife safety is one thing, and champagne safety is another very serious concern as well. So do take care. Andy then, okay, Andy, we're going to wait till after the MCO. JB, do not forget to invite our guests when the MCO is lifted. Maybe we'll have a little private session and you can show us all about the new Mumm range, which I think is very exciting.
Would love to.
I think, looking at the clock, I think that just about puts us out of time. So first of all, JB, I think thank you for all of the audience at home for getting in with your questions and staying with us through the session. I hope you had as much of a happy hour or as happy an hour as I did, and I hope, JB, you too. Thank you very much for coming back and sharing with us. I think it's been a very insightful and informative talk, as always, with you. I'm definitely going to take a lot away from this talk, especially the serving champagne. I think I'm going to, impress my guests with the process there, and I'm also going to completely change up how I drink it. No more flutes. No more flutes. Wine glasses for the win.
Better.
There you have it, guys. Okay, look, thank you all very much. And JB, thank you once again. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. A very happy hour indeed.
Thank you very much, Jacob. My pleasure to share a bit of champagne love with you. And if you need anything, guys, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to share knowledge and to get in touch with you.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Instagram is down below. Thank you, JB. We'll see you soon. There we go, guys. JB's Instagram is down at the bottom. As you'll see, he is also an ambassador for Martell. So he's literally one of the luckiest guys I know right now. He gets paid to travel and drink 2 excellent brands of alcohol. So I hope you found that as informative and as interesting as I did. I certainly had no idea of how to properly enjoy champagne. But when you're drinking such a premium drink as that, it really pays to do it properly. So check out his Instagram. Follow him for all of your champagne requirements, I suppose. And when the MCO is over, hopefully we can all raise a glass together. That is it for this session for now. Thank you for joining me for another happy hour. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll be back on at 9 p.m. with some live music to finish up day 4 of ALYFE Connects. We'll be joined by Bobby Tan, singer, songwriter, and acoustic performer. I'm sure a familiar face to many of you on the KL nightlife circuit. He'll be sharing with us a few stories from his time on the on stage, on the circuit, trying to find record deals in Malaysia, and also performing a few songs and covers for us. He might even take requests. So tune in with us at 9 o'clock. Let us know what you want him to sing, and we'll see if we can convince him to do so. Until then, cheers, take care, stay home, stay safe, and stay indoors. Wash your hands. I'll see you later. Thank you very much.